Welcome back to the third in our series of the Anyone Can Win Entrepreneurial Training Programs. In the previous videos, we discussed some key principles like when you come to a fork in the road, what the 6 possible decisions are that you can make. And we talked about that. We also talked about knowing the difference between a reason and an excuse and how to operate around that. We also talked about how do you put together a winning plan. Well, you're going to find out more about that in just a few seconds. One of the cool things that I discovered as a child, and all my playmates and the kids in the project and the kids at the grammar school I went to, we all discovered it together. First of all, none of us knew anybody who was blind. I didn't meet another blind person until I was 17 years old. So basically, I got to define with their help what blind meant. So as my mother's advice said, go out and try anything until I came up with a reason not to do it. So I played baseball. I played football. I did dodgeball. I did jump rope. I tried to play jacks. Quite honestly, most of it I sucked, but that's okay. I was still included in everything. And I got to define myself. And along with the other kids, we defined what blind meant. And we had a lot of fun doing it. Well, as an adult, that's an important thing to do, to not let other people define you. And don't be so hard on yourself and define yourself. Being blind, what did that really mean? Well, it meant that I couldn't read and I couldn't drive. But what else did it mean? Well, it didn't mean a bunch of other obstacles necessarily either. Some people can't drive because they don't have a driver's license. It was suspended. Or they don't have good tires on their car. Or their car was repoed. That's just a circumstance. Being blind is a circumstance. And, some people, don't read because they can't afford the newspaper or they can't afford a book. That's why they don't read. Or their glasses are broken and they can't afford a new pair of glasses. Again, these are just circumstances. And I found as life went on, never should a circumstance define who you are as a person. You get to write the book. You're the author of the book of your life. So you can make yourself the main character, and you can be the good guy, the bad guy, the smart guy, the dumb guy, the handsome guy, the ugly guy, or gal, okay? You can define yourself. And that's what's really cool about it, because as an entrepreneur, you get to pick and choose what your company's about. Jack Welch wrote a great book called Jack Straight from the Gut. Jack was the former CEO of GE and built it into greatness in the 20 years he was the CEO, made it a world-leading company. Jack has a thing he calls differentiation. What makes you different than your competition? And if you're going to build a business just on price, good luck. You're competing against Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and everybody else who already has billions of dollars in the bank, and they can cut a nickel off of any price you can quote, even below your cost. Okay, so you can't play that game. You define what makes you, your products and services unique, and you go for that. And that's part of how do you define yourself. Sit down, take a pen and paper, and just write down, do the old Franklin close, which I always like, pro and con. That's what Benjamin Franklin used to tell people to do. In one column, put all the good reasons, and the other column, put all the bad reasons, or the reasons why not, or why it would be difficult, and just compare them. But define who you are and write that list down, because don't let other people define you. I guess that's the message I'm trying to say. Don't let them push you into a pigeonhole, because outside the project where I grew up, as I got out of the project, as I went to an inner city high school and, moved on to other things into the job market, I found that there was lots of people there all trying to pigeonhole me because they had a preconception of what a blind person was supposed to be. Fortunately, I got spared all that, and I pretty much was pretty solid on what my identity was and who I was long before I had to run into those narrow-minded people. So do that for yourself. Cut your own slack. Define who you are, and whatever it is, whatever you decide you are, please don't base it upon your circumstances. That's temporary. You can work around almost any set of circumstances. If you're finding this information helpful, why don't you give us a like, please? We'd appreciate that. You'd give us more credibility on YouTube so more people could find us. And also, if you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to America's Blind Tradesman so that I can get out there and help more people. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.